Hello, this is Hannah Iron with EdTech Times, and today I'm speaking to a few people at the Learn Launch conference about their perspectives on education across the world. So if you could all go around and introduce yourselves in a sentence or two, that would be fantastic.
Hi, my name is Narissa Wada. I work for a company called Edulab, based in Tokyo, and I'm a chief marketing officer there.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Bai, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of CollegeFindMe.
Hello everybody, my name is Yaki Dayan, and I'm the founder of EdTech Israel, the professional society of all EdTech companies in Israel.
So to start off, the first question I'm going to ask is, what do you think one of the biggest problems in education is today that you specifically have dealt with in your business? Whoever wants to answer first can just let me know. Sure.
So I think right now something happened from my experience as the communication. So all the EdTech product, like supposed to go to school, students, or like an institution, like a learning institution. So we should find a way to make the communication more efficient and more clear, because we have a great product, but we have problem to acquire users, to get the profit. I think it's all based on the communication.
Anybody else?
Sure. This is Narissa Wada. I find two areas that needs a challenge. One is the efficiency of education. If you look at the personal learning, how do we make it more adaptive so it becomes more efficient? And second part is there's a lot of education contents out there, but how do we know that it's effective? So how do we prove that it's effective? So these are the two challenges that I feel very important in education.
Hi, it's Yaki. I see today one of the challenges in the design of the learning environment. I think that this is where we still are stuck in some paradigms. So we bring maybe new technologies, we bring maybe new tools, but not necessarily we look at the holistic redesign of the entire learning experience. And I think this is where we face most of the challenges, because many of the tools that we bring are brilliant tools that go into old paradigms or different, let's say, design methodology, and with making some creative changes in the overall design of the learning experience, I think that we can do many things that use the technology, but the technology is only playing some part of it. A larger role can be with the physical design, with the participation of the teacher. What is the role of the teacher over there, and what is the role of the community? And I think that this issue of the design of the new learning environment is not addressed enough in many of the conversations.
Does anyone have any comments or anything to that? Okay. So you've all worked in multiple countries, with students in multiple countries, with other businesses in multiple countries. What do you think the biggest difference between the countries that you've worked in has been in education? If you have an answer, you can answer. Not everyone has to answer all the time.
I think that the main issue is that there is some commonality, and I think that's what's so nice about it. I don't think that we find in every nation or in every state the exact same needs or the exact same requirements. And I think that like we are not expecting to have one product that does everything, I don't think that we have one solution that fits every nation. I think what fits in some parts of India, for example, might not fit in a different parts of India, and definitely will not fit into the Israeli market. I think that that's one of the challenges that we have, that as much as we have so many tools around us, the solutions that are created by those tools in every country will probably be different.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina. I'm the co-founder and CEO of CollegeFindMe. So I think the most challenging thing from our experience is the culture difference. So for example, for CollegeFindMe, so the reason why we have CollegeFindMe is we would like to connect the students and college globally, because we realize it's difficult for college admission or for different institutions to travel around in the world. So no matter from the time consuming or from financially or different perspective. So we think is there gonna be some way we can connect them together. We can just accept the culture influence. We just let them to do something from internet. That's why I think that's a very efficient way we can do something together and to skip the culture influence. For example, if some of the college admission I know they travel to different countries, they have to know first, do some assignment about the local culture. Like for example, if you go to in China, so there's something they have to prepare. For example, people in the U.S. we always bring credit card, but if you go to China, credit card sometimes doesn't work, so you have to bring cash. So this is so something little things, but very important. That's why we want to make sure globally connected with the internet, with the technology. Yeah.
That is something I never would have thought about doing business in China, is that sometimes in different countries you don't know what will work, what won't work, what works better, what works less. It's definitely helpful to have different perspectives to be able to cope with those differences. So your turn, Nori.
Thank you. This is Nori Sawada from Edulab. I do feel that culturalization and localization is very important. We see in general, EdTech trend around the world is quite the same, but how you want to deliver in each country or region varies very different in cultural and locally. For example, user experience is totally different. The distribution, the business model, price point, all these are variables that you need to solve to have your solution or product distribute well in the region.
Well, thank you for all of your perspectives on that. I think that that's a very thorough picture of what is going on. So tell me a little bit about what you think will be the biggest issues in education, the biggest trends in education in the future in your country as well as around the world. What do you think will be growing in the next 30 years or so?
Hi, it's Yaki from EdTech Israel. And to be very honest with you, I don't think that I can make any forecast going to 30 years from now. I'll be lucky if I'll try to maybe look 2 or 3 years into the future. So definitely I have no answer for about something like as far as 30 years from now. I think today, at least in my opinion, we have maybe one of the biggest challenges is the tension between what we have and what we can implement. And I think that this is a tension that we see today in so many parts of the world, that we know that we have very good tools, we know that we have very good products, we have very good solutions. The implementation is not happening, I would say, in the pace that we wanted it to happen. And I think that this is maybe one of the challenges that we are all facing, because on one end there are so many investments going into education technologies. There are so many companies that are doing very innovative things over there, but without the implementation, and implementation also equals business, also equals revenues, without this, some of the solutions will vanish before we actually have the opportunity to implement them.
So I'm quite optimistic about the future, and I'm sure there will be a different role of the teachers, as well as how students engage in learning and education will be totally different. So in terms of that, skills that are necessary to succeed in the future is different. So one area that we think will come will be the new skills area, especially if you go to higher education, that's going to affect your income as well as your success in your life. So that's one area. Second area is adaptive area, because we see a lot of artificial intelligence and deep learning technologies that we find patterns. And how do we make use of these patterns? This is another area that will probably impact our education. As well as third, because of the research that is going on and in the advanced research, we start to learn better about how people learn. So in terms of that, there'll be new metrics. We can assess that. So contents will be more assessment driven. So these are the areas I think will impact our education in the future.
Yes, of course.
This is Christina again from CollegeFindMe. So I'm thinking about in the future, probably there are more and more virtual classrooms, because as the technology improved every single day, so students or the parents or educators are not just satisfied by go to school to work or to have class. They probably want to learn 24/7, or anytime they think they have the mood, they have motivation to learn. I think more and more virtual classroom. The secondly, of course, like people said, AI, artificial intelligence. You can learn something from the glass, from the sky, anywhere, and from the different robots on the street. So it can happen, right? So, and then I think finally everything for education, the future, I'm thinking about probably will go to globalization. So students not just study in the US, in China, in Japan, in Israel. Students can study everywhere with no border limited. So this is the three trend I'm thinking.
Yes, that is one of the great things about education technology. And I think one of the reasons why all of us are in education technology is that you don't have just the opportunity to reach a small group of students. You can create something that reaches the world. So I think that, as part of the global EdTech community, we're all trying to reach as many students as possible. So thank you all for contributing to that, because we need to make education accessible for everyone, everywhere around the world. Well, I think we've gotten long enough. Is there anything else that you think is important to global education that you think that we should be addressing that we haven't? Sure.
Hi, it's Dr. Yaki Dayan again from EdTech Israel. I think that to continue what Nori just mentioned about the different KPIs and different metrics that we are starting to build, I think there is also a growing discussion all around the world about KPIs to measure the social impact of education. And I think that this is a discussion that I cannot remember that happened like a few years ago. And different groups around the world are trying to create measurements and what are the KPIs to assess that. And I think this is something that is going to play a major role in the decisions of investors in the years to come. So all those KPIs about social impact, which are not necessarily just looking on grades, not necessarily just looking on engagement, but also on the social impact of education.
This is Nori Sawada. So the world we live in is very dynamic now. So I would say the learning environment that we create or we foresee should be dynamic as the world around us. So that's the challenge that we're facing today, I think.
That's very true. We have to keep up with our environment, and you can't. Otherwise, we'll fall behind and get away from that. Any closing remarks? Well, thank you all for being here today. I think that this is a necessary collection of perspectives to move forward in education. So over and out.